Photography used to be about capturing memories, but studies show that 62% of photographers now feel anxious about their creative work. Today, we're exploring how this art form became a source of pressure instead of joy, and more importantly, how to fix that.
That's a striking statistic highlighting the shift in how we approach creative expression in the digital age.
You know what's fascinating? Research shows that just 15 minutes of photography practice can reduce stress levels by up to 22%. But somehow, we've turned this potentially therapeutic activity into another source of anxiety.
How do you think social media has influenced this transformation?
According to recent data, the average photographer spends more time editing photos for social media than actually taking them, about 3.5 hours editing for every hour of shooting. This has completely shifted the focus from experience to presentation.
That's an eye-opening perspective on how our relationship with photography has evolved.
And here's what's interesting. Studies of professional photographers from the film era show significantly lower rates of creative burnout than today's digital photographers. Only about 15% reported feeling regularly overwhelmed by their work, compared to nearly 47% today.
Those numbers tell a story about the pressure of constant content creation. What strategies have you seen work for managing this?
I've been experimenting with what psychologists call mindful photography. In this practice, you observe before touching your camera. The results are pretty remarkable. Photographers who practice this report a 40% decrease in creative anxiety.
It is fascinating how such a simple shift in approach can have such a significant impact.
What else is interesting? Historical data shows that the most celebrated photographers of the 20th century averaged only about 12 significant pieces per year. Now, we expect people to post multiple times daily.
So, we're essentially asking for quantity over quality, aren't we?
Exactly. And research from the American Psychological Association suggests this constant pressure for content creation can reduce creative output by up to 35%. It's like we're working harder, but producing less meaningful work.
That connects to what experts say about the importance of creative rest periods.
Well, here's something surprising. Studies show that photographers who take regular breaks, like 1 week off per quarter, produce 27% more portfolio-worthy images annually than those who shoot continuously.
Those findings really challenge our assumptions about productivity and creativity.
Speaking of challenging assumptions, let's discuss the myth of specialization. Recent surveys show that photographers who work across multiple genres report 45% higher satisfaction with their work than those who stick to just one style.
That's such valuable insight about the benefits of versatility. How does this relate to mental well-being?
Psychological research indicates that creative flexibility, like switching between different photography styles, can increase dopamine production by up to 30%. Allowing ourselves to experiment makes our brains happier.
That's exactly why we need to rethink how we approach creative pursuits.
And here's another interesting data point. Photographers who maintain what researchers call a growth mindset, viewing their skills as constantly evolving, show 50% lower rates of creative burnout compared to those who view their abilities as fixed.
That emphasizes the importance of staying open to change and continuous learning.
Looking toward the future, experts predict we'll see a significant shift in how we approach photography, with a growing emphasis on mindfulness and mental health. Some studies suggest that by 2025, over 70% of photography courses will include components on managing creative pressure and maintaining emotional well-being.
That's such an encouraging trend for the future of creative expression.
As we wrap up today's discussion, remember this powerful statistic. Photographers prioritizing personal satisfaction over social media metrics report being 3.5 times more likely to maintain their passion for the craft long term. Sometimes, the best way forward is to take a step back.
That's a perfect note to end on. Putting the joy back into the journey rather than focusing solely on the destination.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments.